Hey everyone, in this video I'll talk a bit about how I started making money as an artist, which was only since the start of 2022, and how much time I put in versus how much I made, which is where I'm at now. Let's get started. I started working as a full-time illustrator since June, and it's only been 3 months at the time of recording this video in early October. Before that, I started working only part-time, 1 or 2 hours a day after my regular work hours, and my time as a father. So all the figures I'll give you about how much I made are for 5 to 10 hours per week during January to May, and then I spent around 30 hours of work per week during June, and I'll explain more with the table. I started working by taking commissions as an illustrator on the website 5euros.com. It's like Fiverr, to give you an example, but only a French platform instead of being international. So I posted my offering on this platform for illustrations, and I got contacted for the first time about 2 weeks later for my first job. Since then, I have been almost always contracted and never waiting more than a few days without a job, and sometimes having multiple requests for drawings at the same time. I met all my clients through this website, but most of them have been ordering outside the website to be able to pay and communicate with me directly. All these revenues are before any taxes. Where I live, I give around 40% total to all the various taxes. So since it'll change depending on your country and your own personal situation, I decided to only include the raw numbers before any tax cut. As you can see, my revenue was the lowest in January, but not only because of the lowest amount of hours worked. It was also the lowest revenue per hour. At that time, I was just starting and pricing myself too low. In March, when I raised my rates on the website, I did this originally because I thought I was getting too many orders and couldn't fulfill all of them. So I thought by doing this, I would get less orders but at a higher price, and it would eventually be a similar revenue source with less orders. I was wrong, because the higher prices also came in with more orders. So here's my first tip. If you think you can justify the price you charge, don't hesitate to charge a heavier price, because people will pay for more quality and a good service. In March, April, and May was when I had the best pays when you count how much time I worked. And I can see that when going full-time, I made less by the hour than before. This is because I have a recurring client who I charge 10 euros per hour of work. But he pays me by the hour, and I can count as many hours as possible for him and on his ongoing project. When June came, I had about the same number of usual orders and sales, but since I work more hours for this 10 euro job, I diluted my revenue per hour down. July was basically very slow months because I moved places and I had a bunch of problems to take care of. I basically had no clients besides my regular, which made it 450 euros this month. On the contrary, for August, I worked a lot more, earned 1,000 euros for 100 hours on the regular stuff, and also had a contract to draw a webtoon chapter of 40 pages for 1,250 euros. It was hard to track the hours on this job because of how spread out they were, but this was a tough month, but worth it. I also took on another project for an album cover, but didn't finish it until September. In September, the album cover was finally finished for 470 euros, and the work for the video game brought me 900 euros. This time, the revenue per hour was better because the album cover was mostly done in August, but I got paid later. So the revenue per hour is skewed between these 2 months. We can see that as hours go up, usually the revenue per hour goes down, and this is probably because the quick little jobs with a good pay get diluted between the hours of the big jobs. Ideally, I would get more of these quick single tasks, but they are also more taxing mentally. I find it pretty exhausting juggling between multiple clients who all want to call you during the same hours of the day for their own little project, and then having to push back the actual work part late at night. Versus just having one big client that sure pays me less per hour, but I can concentrate on my task and worry about less things. One thing that I didn't mention is free jobs. Everybody has an opinion on it. I don't mind doing a free job, but I never did for a new client. I will not get hired by someone who wishes to pay me with exposure on social media, but I did offer some free small jobs to recurring clients that also had paid me for bigger jobs in the between. Some stuff just doesn't take me a lot of time, and it's always nice to give something to the people I enjoy working with. As far as passive income goes, I made about $50 from my sale on my QBrush store. The sales were only organic sales from the search engine on QBrush. I also am in the process of making more of my brushes for all the different software I use, namely Clip Studio right now. And I encourage you to try and go give a look at the link in the description if you draw digitally usually. I'm pretty sure some of my brushes might inspire you. And this YouTube channel is not monetized, so no income from here if you were wondering. As far as the other social medias, my Instagram is dead and I'm nowhere else. I really dislike most of these platforms, and having to force myself to post often never worked for me. It just generates stress that I'm better without. This is all for me for about my first 9 months making money as an artist and my first month full-time. I wish you all success in your artistic endeavors, and if you have any other question, I'll be happy to answer in the comments. So bye everyone, until next time, keep creating.